Number 1. Creep at Sam Houston. Story by Don't Answer It. Pre-note that, yes, I did call the cops. So I live in Louisiana. I stay with my mom sometimes at this park she work camps at to take care of my little sister, and it's a pretty nice place. A few days ago I walked my ass to the swings because I love the swings. Who doesn't love the swings? Now the swings are on a stretch of land between a road and a river, and on the side of the road closest to the stretch of land is parking spaces that go on for a good 100 yards. An hour into my swing time, this white van pulls into a space of bit left of where I'm facing. Really douchey hipster type walks out, and I don't pay much attention to him. He walks to the stretch of land right of me. I don't know how much time passed before I saw him again, but eventually he was walking slowly back towards his van, and this time I decided to look at him. He's messing on his phone with one hand, and with the other, he's fucking masturbating in a public park. I'm staring at this douchebag for a minute and a half, and then he notices and stares me straight in the eyes, still jerking, and all I can say is, "Really?" He then smirks and then, still jerking, walks to his van and drives away. I couldn't even move for 10 minutes because of this smug asshole's utter confidence in committing what I've learned to be sexual assault. Number 2. He will never let me go. Story by Kitsune Geisha. I used to be in a bad marriage. I made excuses because my ex didn't physically hit me. When I finally was fed up and left him, I moved into a house with my long-term best friend. My ex started stalking me and tracking me through Facebook. He knew about texts that were in my phone. Some kind of spying app. He knew where I was, how long it took me to get home from work, who I had spoke with during my day. It was early one morning. The sun was coming up and the light through my window was enough to disturb my sleep. I rolled over in bed and extended my arm. That's when I felt it. Someone else's arm. I jumped out of bed screaming an unnatural scream, almost hyperventilating. There lay my ex, wide awake. I coldly said, "I miss you." Running through my panicked mind was the thought that he was going to end my life. He would never let me leave. I screamed, "You can't do this, it's creepy." He got up and replied, "What?" I felt right then that he didn't love me. He felt he owned me. I spent what felt like an eternity trying to calm down and placate him enough to get him out of my house. I had been mentally abused for 5 years, and I was terrified to call the police on him. I stopped staying at my house after that. I stayed the night with any friend that would host me. It's been over 2 years, and I'm still trying to legally divorce him. He just won't let me go. Number 3. I couldn't see his face. Story by Mofuga 420. It happened a few years back to me, and it has been one of the creepiest and most disturbing things that I can remember. I used to live in a small house in the outskirts of a Mexican town called Durango. Not much to say about it. It was the worst place to live, and it was dangerous. I guess my mother really wanted to live far from my grandmother. What I recall about this place was a small hole or skylight next to my room that had two. One for my room and the other was for my mom's room. It was dirty and debris was laying on the floor. I remember seeing rats and other animals in that place. The bed was at the center of the room, and next to the big window I had my wear box. All my clothes were in there and a few toys. I was little at the time, maybe 7 years old, and I was going to the school, so we had to wake up early in the morning in order to shower, eat, and all of that. Regardless of the little time we had to get to the bus, my mom took like an hour to put on her makeup, dress, and all of that. She did all of that in her room, and I guess she never foreshadowed what was going to happen during the week that a big part of my life changed. It was around 6 in the morning, and I was putting on my clothes when I feel something isn't right about the place. I think it would have been better if I had only ignored it, but son, I looked in the skylight and I saw a shadow. I stared at it and I noticed a squatted man looking towards my mother's room. My heart started pounding hard, and maybe because of the moment, but I couldn't see the guy's face at all. I started walking to my mom's room to tell her this. I remember her wearing underwear, and it was uncomfortable because I saw the man, so I just looked at her in the eyes and pointed to the skylight. She walked to it, and I think she saw the man because she didn't say anything at all. Like me, I really don't remember what happened next, but I'm sure my mom closed the window shadows and started putting on her clothes as fast as she could. We didn't own guns, and my mom was alone. My dad left me when I was like 3, so she called the neighbor who was my uncle, and he goes out to check. There was a man, and he was a nasty sub, because talking about him later, my mom told me he was masturbating to her. But that's not even the worst part. A week later we were in with my grandparents, living until we found another place, when my uncle calls her telling that someone broke into our home. She was in tears. Usually she could withstand anything, but she was teared apart by that. We went to check the place, and whoever entered the house didn't took anything too expensive, some jewelry and money, but the thing that made everything creepy was that my mom's underwear and pants were all in bed, spread around. My mom used to be a model, so she kept some photos around in folders or whatever, and the guy found them and took some of them. Time passed on, and my mom threw away her clothes and all of her photos, just keeping the ones that he didn't touch. We moved to my grandparents' house, and later she left Mexico and came here to me with start a new life. I think a great part of it was because of this, unfortunately. Before we did this, I heard rumors that the guy had been caught and he was a sex offender and a drug addict. We were lucky to have someone we knew next, because I cannot imagine how this would have ended up, or if I could tell this at all. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. First of all, I want to give a big thank you to all the people who let me narrate their stories. I really appreciate it. I will leave the link to the original Reddit post on the description if you want to check them out. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like, comment and subscribe for more true horror stories. Also, if you want to submit your own story, be sure to send it to me. I will leave my email in the description below to be featured in the next video. Thanks again guys, good night and sweet nightmares.